Today I'm going to show you how to get rid of that deep curve that I have in my nails. This is about my third or fourth balance, and my natural nail on my pointer and middle finger both tend to kind of grow downward. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. So what I'm showing you here is that we're going to end up taking off a lot of the underside of the nail, and it's going to make it very thin. So then we're going to have to build up on the top after we get rid of what's on the bottom. I'm starting out using the Melody Susie Sparkle Pro, and I'm also using a coarse safety bit, and I'm just going to go through and take off all the gel polish on my nails. So now that all of the polish is off, what I'm going to do is line up my file to where the free edge begins. And what I did here is I actually took a permanent marker and drew on part of my nail so you could see everything that needs to go in order for everything to line up and to be a complete straight edge. So I'm going to start in the front, and as soon as that goes down enough, I'm going to get it closer to the actual tip of my finger and make sure everything lines up and looks very straight. Now for my next nail, because it has way more of a curve than what my middle finger does, it would actually be useless to sit there and file at it. The better option for this would be to trim it down, file, and then you would end up needing a form so you can rebuild the free edge, or you can put a whole new nail on altogether. And because for this set of nails that I'm doing on this fill, I'm actually going to keep them a lot shorter. So I'm actually not going to add the bulk back up towards the front and keep it long. But what I did is I took my clippers and I only clipped on the one side. So that way it cuts a straight edge all the way through. And now I'm using my handpiece here to file off that very harsh curve that I have, and then going back in with my file to reshape everything. I know for the purpose of this video is to show you how to fix it, so therefore I should be doing a long nail set, but my pinky is already broken and it is very short. So when I do add the acrylic to my pinky, you will see that all you have to do is just rebuild your free edge, because the acrylic is actually going to stick to the acrylic. So I will do that as I'm doing my fill, which I'm starting right now by taking my pusher and pushing back all of my cuticles. The next step that I will be doing is taking my medium grit arbor band, and I'm just going over the natural nail very lightly. Some of it gets cut off of camera, but I do go around my natural nail and then I lightly dust off the rest of the fingernail. And this is going to give the nail a little bit of a rough surface, which makes things a lot easier to stick to it. And to get rid of all of your dust and debris and to really dry out the nail, I use this swipe from Young Nails. I like to use a brush with it and brush it off, but I don't have any right now, so using a swab is just perfectly fine to do with this. Next, I'm going to go in with my favorite bonder of all time. It is the Young Nails Protein Bond, and you just take a coat of this over all of your nails. And before you do this, it's very important to make sure the swipe that you used before is completely dry, or it will cancel this out. And this is what's going to make the acrylic actually stick to your nail, so you don't want it to cancel out. But I go through and put a thin coat on every single nail, and then I come back and I do a second. So for the next step that I'm doing is actually applying my acrylic. I'm using Young Nails Speed Clear with the Young Nails Liquid and Greg's Signature Brush. My first bead I'm going to dry out quite a bit, because this is what I'm going to use to do my free edge. I had to skip it in the video because it got all the way cut off, but I formed my free edge and then I got more of a wet bead to actually do my fill. I did use a pretty large bead for this because the free edge was so thin, and this way I can bring a lot of it down and not go back over it later. Now what you're seeing me do is I'm basically just filling in the empty area at my cuticles, and I am pointing my fingers downward, so when I set the pearl on my fingernail, it naturally falls towards the free edge of my nail and doesn't flood the cuticle area. And then I just lightly tap my brush to really pull everything down and make everything nice, even, and smooth. Once you have everything applied and everything is dried, you can remove any of the forms that you might have on your nails, file around the edges to make sure they're nice and straight and even with the natural nail, and then you can go ahead and do your polish, and then you would be all done. This is what my nails came up with. I'm actually going to do a separate video on how I did this design. But if you like this, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and comment what else you would like to see down below. Thank you for watching.